Hello, brother, and welcome to I Help Make That. Today is the very first wrestling episode of I Help Make That
Wow.
with one of the original gorgeous ladies of wrestling, Roxy Astor.
Wow. I like that. I help make that. So you're referring to is I help make glow.
Yep. Now, I'm going to be honest, everyone. I didn't know if I really wanted to do a wrestling episode because usually this is a podcast about movies or TV shows. That, and I'm not the most athletic person in the world or someone who's that interested in sports. Like, if someone invites me to a baseball or a basketball game, or even to shoot a few hoops, I like to have fun. I like to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, watching sports on TV, I feel gets boring quickly, in my opinion. That being said, if a sports movie is good, I do like a good sports movie. For example, Moneyball, Rocky, The Wrestler.
Yeah.
Great movies. No Holds Barred. It could be funny bad at least. Draft Day, it's alright. But I'll also be honest. The reason I've decided to do an episode on a wrestling show is even though I'm not the biggest fan of wrestling itself, some say that wrestling isn't a real sport because even though there is an athletic component to it, I am aware there's also an entertainment component to it. And because of that, I have decided to do an episode on the original gorgeous ladies of wrestling with the lovely Roxy Astor.
Well, yeah, I feel very honored, and I'm kind of laughing at you because I'm laughing with you, actually, not at you. I was not a wrestling fan. I am not into sports. I can watch a football game and go shoot a basket. I am just not there. And for Glow, it was actually we were the first all female wrestling TV show, entertainment show. So what some people call fake, some people call real. The realness is the the bumps you take, the injuries we feel that happen later on in life. You know, like with Matilda, Mount Fiji. Um, you know, um, Both ended up. Matilda was in the hospital due to her injuries, and other things. But and Mount Fiji. So I think we took a lot of bumps, just like the other wrestlers, and we were the first all female wrestling TV show. Did I and when I tried out for Glow, I didn't even watch wrestling. I had no clue what it was, but I was just a fan of Glow, and that's how I ended up trying out. So being a fan of Glow, but that was it.
Okay,
Mhm.
and I'm excited to hear more about it in depth, but before we do so, we have to get the anchor ad out of the way. So, Roxy,
Mhm.
have you ever wanted to create your own podcast?
Actually, I have. I have.
What would your podcast be about?
It would be about, I am not going to say strictly wrestling because I think that would keep us kind of in one little element, but actually as females, as empowering females and things, of a nature of an age. I think the Glow Girls have a lot to offer, even just as regular women and as moms, grandmas, and friends. Like we have a lot of knowledge. You put all of our ages together, and we got a lot to offer, and we don't hold back.
Okay. Now, if you ever want to create this podcast, do you want to know what you can use?
Oh, absolutely.
Anchor. You know why Anchor?
Please tell me because I don't know too much about podcasts.
Well, it is the easiest podcasting platform to use. All you do is sign up for an account, then you can record the episode and send the invite over to your other friends from Glow,
Mhm.
record the episode together, then post it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those platforms.
Hmm. Might have to look into that.
Yep. So, if you want to create your own podcast, try Anchor today.
I love that today.
Now, Roxy,
You sound like a wrestler with a really good character, Keith.
tell me, what were you doing before Glow?
Oh, okay. Well, I moved from Auburn, Washington. I was a hairdresser. I went to hairdressing school, and I went to the Seattle Art Institute and was also a fashion designer. So I was kind of caught up with, do I want to do hair? Do I want to design clothes? Not knowing that Glow was in my future until I actually moved to Los Angeles and saw the show on TV. And then I'm like, okay, hair can wait, fashion designing can wait, and then Glow. It was all about Glow. When I do something, I put everything into it. So the other careers had to wait.
And you said that you were a fan of Glow, even though you weren't a fan of wrestling.
Hmm.
So, how did you even find out about Glow in the first place?
I would have to say accidentally. It's one of those things that the channel happened to be on. And I know WWF was on at the time. And I think I walked by the TV. Keep in mind, these were small little TVs. So I had to be something that really caught my eye. But when I looked at Glow, all I saw was glitter, big hair, outfits. And I just, I didn't know what it was at the time, but just the fact of how they looked, and these were females, I'm like, this is something interesting. So then I was, watching it for a few months, and then that's when it said if you wanted to be a Glow Girl. So just obviously the hair and the costumes caught my attention.
All right. And you said that you found something that said if you want to be a Glow Girl, but where did you find that?
On the TV. So when I was watching one day, there was, I guess, auditions, and I didn't know what was going on. Like, oh, they just want more girls added to their roster, and I guess they replaced, or a lot of the girls walked away from the first and second season. So they were looking for girls for the third and fourth season of Glow. So that's, I had to try out. It's just one of those things that, like, I had to try out, and I had to get it. There was no going back.
And what were the tryouts like?
Um, well, first off, you had to get yourself to Vegas. You had to, on your own dime, you had to get there, and they put us in apartments and kind of, stacked us up in a few rooms. And it was, I remember, a warehouse, and the girls would just go in. And I feel like a lot of girls walked away at this time because the apartments were small, and maybe they were expecting something a little bit more glamorous, like on TV. And I think the first and second season girls, they were in the Riviera. So, I mean, how much fun would that be to live in the Riviera? So when they got there, it was reality. It's like you're in an apartment and you got to work hard. and you might get injured, you might get hurt, you got to push through. So I saw a lot of the girls leaving, just how they did in the Netflix show. They were leaving when they actually saw what it was. And then it was just one of those things. You're in the ring and never, I was a little athletic, run the ropes, throw into the turnbuckle, do a back bump, flip, all that. And it was just like, if you've never done it before, they would break down the move. um, but like I said, still girls were leaving because it was kind of a scary thing, not being a gymnast to actually be able to flip your whole body over, you know. But I found it very fun. It was like playtime for me.
And how many rounds of auditions did you go through?
Well, the first one you had to get through and meet the director, and that was on Sunset with Rick Liz, who owned the Riviera. And then we got the phone call, and then we got to the apartment, and then and I always say every girl is going to have their own story, but I just focus on my story. And we got there, and I think within like 6 months they were doing cuts, almost like American Idol. They were doing cuts, they were doing cuts, to the point of there was, I think, like maybe 35, 40 girls left, and the girls that were there were then given characters. So if you didn't get a character name, it just means you didn't make it. So I was relieved that I got a character name, but not relieved with my character.
What was your character and why weren't you relieved about it? Just for the audience who doesn't
No
know.
thing. um, my character name is Roxy Astor, and I was one of the Park Avenue knockouts. So we were very rich socialites, and we came in with just an error about us because we had so much money and checkbooks that were unlimited. We could write checks to get out of our matches or do whatever we wanted to with daddy's money. That was our big thing. Tiffany Mellon was my partner. We took the place of Tina Ferrari and Ashley Cartier, who were from Beverly Hills. So if you know anything about New York, I'm from the Astor family, and my partner is from the Mellon financial family. So they kind of put us together. Money. I mean, it kind of went. I had a green outfit on, and my partner had a gold outfit on. So we were basically the rich girls of the show.
Yeah, and why weren't you
Happy
interested
with
in?
it
Yeah.
because I wanted to be a bad girl. Um, when you're, they call it a good girl or a baby face. When you're that, uh, you can't do a lot of moves that a bad girl or a heel could get away with. And I just kind of, when I was watching Glow, I would watch the bad girls and realize that they got away with a lot more. They could do moves that, I don't know, like choking, putting them up against the ropes. We had to be a little bit less violent. But I feel like I had my way of working badness into my character, which I kind of got dubbed the baddest good girl of Glow. I've heard that from several of the Glow girls.
And why were you considered the baddest good girl of Glow? Like, how did you work in badness in the character?
Well, number one, I was wrestling Dementia. Now, she was a bad girl. And I wrote this match because I wanted to incorporate where I could actually be a bad girl. We brought Big Bad Mama in with her voodoo that would actually switch our characters. So I got to be a bad girl for a little bit, and she got to be a good girl. Unfortunately, her character didn't talk, so it was all about facial expressions and movements. But that was my way, was to actually write a match that turned me into a bad girl. I don't think any other bad girls maybe would have done it, but the girl who played Dementia was, she was a really good sport about it. It ended up being my favorite match with Big Bad Mama. It was great.
And like in the show, for anyone who remembers it, there was, always these constant arguments and back and forths with Mark Maron's character. and the other wrestlers because they wouldn't like how they were being written, or they would change things that Mark Maron's character didn't like. Were things like that in real life?
Well, back then, and I kind of felt like this with Mark Maron's character too. If you didn't like it, there was a door. There was probably about 10 girls waiting to take your place. So you just kind of, figure it out. Don't complain too much. Show what you can do, but you're not going to argue back and forth. If Allison Brie was back there doing the stuff that she did on the show, she would have she would have been kicked out in the very beginning.
So they took a bit of dramatic license there.
Of course they did. I think they had to turn it into the show that they had. Honestly, I felt like that we had more shows or things, incidents that happened that were a little bit crazier than in the show.
Yeah, but now that we've talked about the entertainment aspect,
Yeah.
how much training was there when it came to the physical aspect, the wrestling?
I well, we had to do our exercises in the morning, almost like boot camp. So you had to show up for that, and then training in the ring. So that was all day, and then at nighttime we had to go to a house that was once owned by Joan Collins, and we called that the Glow House, and that's where we would practice and perform our raps. And Matt Zimmer was our director, so we would have to stay there until we got it right. The funny thing is, there is a blooper out there of us at the Glow House doing our raps when we first were trying to find our character, and it's actually very funny, just how innocent we were and how far we've come from who we were.
Now, you had to do this throughout many months. Was it exhausting balancing the entertainment aspect and the physical aspect, and just having to focus on the physical aspect and all that training itself?
No, I think it was honestly so much fun to kind of learn something that I've never done before because I like learning new things. So, I found a good balance that, here I'm getting these acting classes and I'm getting these training classes in wrestling, and I'm in really good shape, and I'm, running like 5 miles a day. And because I'm the type, I've got to be pushed a little bit, to do something. So I found it very fun. A lot of girls might not have enjoyed it as much as me, but I loved it. And I never wanted to be an actress. And honestly, I never wanted to be a wrestler. I just wanted to be a glow girl.
So, you did this for a few years, and then Glow ended up being canceled.
hmm
Were there any signs that the, should I say, show might be ending?
No, and I think that's the confusion for a lot of the fans. And you got to think back, we didn't have a lot of or any social media back then. So if you're going to find out something, you're going to find out in the paper maybe a week later, because we were kind of at the height, we were at the top of Glow. We were out there in, doing Phil Donahue, Sally Jesse Raphael, all the game shows, Family Feud. So we were at its height. Even Married with Children, some of the girls did. So there was talk of a Glow movie. And in fact, Matt Zimmer had an interview recently where he even admitted there was a Glow movie, and it sounded like Matt was just really burnt out on the whole Glow thing because he's a director of movies. And so it's one of those things that in fact, I even trained in Oxnard when things shut down. So we were all just waiting for the phone call, and it never came. So none of us really got like an ending, like a goodbye, kind of like the Glow Netflix when you saw them at the airport leaving, and they were going away for the holidays. I feel like nobody got their goodbye also. So they kind of left how we left, hoping because they were going to come back for a fourth season. We were coming back for a fifth season, and it didn't happen, which kind of left the fans, even in Glow Netflix, hey, what's up? Let's finish this. Uh, I would love to see a Glow Netflix movie and watch and see how the characters, what happened to them after that. I think that would be great. And as for us, I end up creating and producing a play called the Afterglow 80s Musical Experience, which showed before, during, and after Glow and what happened after Glow when we got the phone call that some of us got the phone call, some of us didn't. That Glow was gone, and I put that in my play. So,
Yeah, but when you heard that Glow was gone, what was your reaction?
well, I wasn't in contact with a lot of the girls, and by that time, I had my son, and so I was actually okay with it. I know a lot of the girls went with David McLean, who does Wow now, and he did something called POW, and I know some other girls opened up their own wrestling things. Sunny did, and everybody was really trying to, stick with wrestling. I kind of wanted to leave just with Glow and just be Roxy and not just be a floater. Going to different promotions. I was okay with what I did, so I kind of wanted to end it there. Where a lot of the girls wanted to keep going and that, but I had other things to fall back on too. And the only one girl that made it to WWE was Tina Ferrari, the one that I took her place, and she played Ivory in WWE, and she was recently put in the Hall of Fame in WWE.
So, what did you do once Glow was canned?
Well, I had left before it was finally canned to go have a baby and then get myself back in shape and get ready for the movie and tour and keep doing Glow. So I was, really bummed out. The fans were bummed out, but I also am a hairdresser and I got back into that.
Okay.
Like I said, I had something to fall back on, and it was kind of like, it's over. Maybe it'll come back. Maybe we'll do the movie. Um, but I was okay with it. A lot of the girls, and I think a lot of the fans to this day, were not okay with how it just disappeared off the air so suddenly. At least with Glow Netflix, you had everybody going, shows canceled, and you got to do the uproar and everybody mad. With Glow, it was just silent, cricket. Nobody knew what was going on. And so, but that was the times, that was the 80s. So you're not gonna know.
Mhm. Yeah, but when did you start getting, say, notices from fans, saying, "Oh, I really loved you and Glow. Like, I really loved watching that show back in the day, once it was over." Like, was it immediate or was it over time?
Oh no, it was over time. So any of the girls that were out there still doing their thing, still wrestling, I didn't hear about it until Facebook came along. So it was just one of those things I never really thought of, but there was a documentary, the Glow documentary with Mount Fiji and the other girls in 2012. And so then I started getting on Facebook and realizing everything I'm telling you about how the fans felt about it suddenly disappearing. So I didn't really connect with anybody until Facebook. And that's when I realized what an impact that Glow had on them and what an impact that Glow had when it was canceled. I mean, we heard some very, very sad stories because people really love Glow and they could connect with it.
And what do you think it was that made people connect with Glow?
Well, I think the fact that we were an all female show, but we also came in all shapes and sizes and colors and just we weren't the cookie cutter diva. You saw Mount Fiji, Matilda the Hun. There were these Amazon women. You saw Gremlina, 4'11", born with a disability that ended up being one of the best characters. you saw people that would not normally have a chance to even make it even on WWF or E or anywhere. But I think they connected that way because I think Glow kind of gave people hope that, hey, and just like I did, hey, if they can do it, I can do it. It's just a matter of going for it. So, and now you look at WWE right now and you see all shapes and sizes, and you see girls with tattoos, and you see big girls, little girls, and I kind of feel like it's, kind of it's. I feel like it has something to do with Glow, that it's very accepting now to, it's okay to like not the perfect person.
Yeah. So, that also being said, what was your reaction when Netflix decided to make the Glow series?
Well, I think it came with confusion, um, because I was getting ready to go on a cruise, and I heard about it right before I was going on the cruise that Glow's coming out, and none of us. The girl that owns the rights to Glow is Ursula. She was Babe the Farmer's Daughter, and the fans kept coming to us and saying, congratulations, oh my gosh, we're so excited for you. And we're like, for what? And they're like, Glow. And we're like, oh, okay, and we were excited, and like I said, confused, and the fans were confused because they made a show about women that are existing still. So it's like, it's not like the Golden Girls where they're all gone and they're gonna do something else. We're still here. We're still here doing events and that. And a lot of the girls, I kind of thought it would have been nice if they would have been maybe put into a spot in the Glow Netflix, just something. I myself didn't care about that. I just thought it would have been a nice thing, but that's Hollywood, and it's okay, but it did bring more eyes to the Glow girls and to the Afterglow brand and to the Glow brand. So any girls doing conventions, I think it helps them.
Yeah, I heard that the names on the Glow series were very different from the names in the actual gorgeous ladies of wrestling. But when you first saw it, seeing as you were there, did that color your perception of the show a bit at first?
There's a lot of controversy about the robot and Mark Maron and the drug robot at the house, and I kind of laughed about it, and I would just say, God, I wish we had that robot. It would have been a lot more fun. But what they did do is Glow Netflix. I think they mishmashed a few characters together to where it wouldn't be. But I think people could relate and go, "Oh, there's Nishka, there's Tanya." In fact, one of the girls that played the housewives and they were I forgot what their characters were, but she had even said, I met her, they had short blonde hair, short dark hair, and she said they came in and they were comedians and they had to come up with a character. Well, she wanted to be a hairdresser because she found out that Tracy, me, I'm a hairdresser. So she came in as a hairdresser. So that's what they made her. So I thought that was kind of neat, and she was really sweet and acknowledged it on an interview. So, and Allison Brie was really great, always kind of complimenting. Oh my God, you got to see these girls. These girls are amazing. If you haven't seen the original Glow, you got to see them. So she was really great about it.
Yeah, I will say I made my own podcast miniseries that was based on a real, not not wrestling organization, but um, it was based on a real internet channel that's still going, but it used to have a lot more content creators than it does now. And
Right.
I did do a similar thing where instead of portraying the actual people, I portrayed fictional I made fictional characters that were like based on certain people or, mishmashed, certain people together. And I'll have to admit, like when shows or movies do that, it can be kind of more forgiving, in my opinion,
Yeah,
to have to for them to have creative license than it is when they just use the regular people. And it also makes it more fun because it gives you more of an opportunity to cast your friends and sort
yeah.
of tell the story you want to tell than have to tell actually someone else's story. Because, I think the problem can be when you do just, portray the people as is, like if you decide to take creative license, then if you know the real story,
Yeah.
you're just like, well, what happened in real life was a lot more interesting. Why didn't they just keep it like that?
Well, we know why, because then that's licensing. That's more money that you have to pay out.
Yeah, like I have a theory in the movie The Disaster Artist, also starring Allison Brie. I don't know if you've seen that
Yeah.
movie, but in that movie, Greg Sestero, the guy, one of the people that movie is based on, did a few movies before he was in The Room, which is what The Disaster Artist is about.
Hmm.
And they acted like those movies he was in beforehand did not exist.
That's horrible.
Yeah. And I know why they did it. So they wouldn't have to pay the license to portray those movies. Like he was a background actor in Patch Adams. Doesn't exist according to the movie.
Oh,
You
you know
can
what? I heard that with Mike Tyson also.
Yeah.
That they did a show about Mike, and Mike's like, "Hey, it's my story, it's me." And I'm kind of, I don't know how they do that. And wouldn't you want Mike Tyson to be a part of it? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and another example was Bohemian Rhapsody, which actually the remaining members of Queen were a part of, and of
Yeah,
course Freddie couldn't be a part of for obvious reasons. But one thing that I did find kind of weird was they acted like the previous bands Freddie Mercury was a part of before Queen didn't exist. You can listen to those songs from his other bands on YouTube. Like,
yeah,
who are they trying to kid? you know?
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, the movie is okay, but I'm just like weirded out by that.
Yeah, me too. And it's just, I think people like when you do include them. I don't know. I saw something, it might have been Baywatch or something, and they had Pamela Anderson somehow walking in on it, and that. And we're like, oh, there's Pam Anderson. I mean, it's just kind of cool to see how they incorporate them, because we like to see that. I know I do. And I'm sure people would like to see that, especially the disaster artist. I mean, he's incredible, real artsy guy, real artsy, and you can't really replace him, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
Didn't James Franco, he played him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that also being said, I think we can end it here. But thank you so much, Roxy, for coming on to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be your first glow girl. And I know it was like nails on a chalkboard trying to get a wrestler on here. But I understand. I get it.
Okie dokie. Anyway,
Thanks, guys.
before you're welcome. But before we leave, do you have anything to plug?
Well, we are going to Oscars, which is I have 5 original Glow Girls. I got Sunny, Gremlina, Dallas, myself, and April Royal Hawaiian. We're going to be interviewed by Polo Del Mar, who is a wrestler for Billy Corgan's Smashing Pumpkins NWA Wrestling. Uh, uh, Federation. I guess that's what you call it. So we're going to be doing that September 16th. And that's this Friday. It's coming up quick. And then there's going to be an afterglow cruise where you can cruise with the Glow Girls, May 2023, May 7th through the 14th. So it's going to be our fourth annual afterglow cruise. We had one before the pandemic, had to cancel it, and now we're back. So we're calling it an afterglow reunion. And then the Glow Girls are out there at all the Comic Cons, so you can see them everywhere.
Great.
Never a shortage of a Glow Girl.
Yep. Anyway, that was I Help Make That, and I'll see you all later.
Thanks,
Bye
Gab.
now.
Wild